Hey, Wildcats. I wanted to come and chat with you today about our assignment for today and tomorrow. There are multiple components to it, and some of those are in some different locations. And so I wanted to make sure that you felt confident about what you were doing. So, one of the things that you'll notice is that over here on the right hand side, just like always, we have your Monday and Tuesday Reader's Writer's Notebook assignment. You'll also notice today that there's this Art of the Argument Cornell Notes, and that is a part of your Reader's Writer's Notebook assignment. So what I want to do is I want to go through this and I want to make sure that I show you a few things. First of all, it's always important when you are going through and starting to complete this work that even though the assignment is sitting right here, you also navigate to our Reader's Writer's Notebook folder. So in our Wildcats Interdisciplinary Hub, you scroll down and you click on that Reader's Writer's Notebook folder. You should have been here on the first day to see some of what we've got going on. You'll notice that a lot of people are participating in this Have Questions, Need to Talk, Want to Connect discussion. There's some fun questions in there for you. And then obviously our ELA Reading Daily assignments are here, and hopefully most of you found your dystopian book clubs here. If I click on that ELA Reading Daily Assignments, what you'll notice is that we've been going through and we've been numbering the assignments for you, and they're now going in reverse order. So that very first assignment from last Monday is sitting down here. Okay, that a second assignment is here, and you'll notice right underneath it was a little GIF that was going to help, or a little page that was going to help explain some part of that. For number 3, there was that Zoom call that we had done to try and help clarify some of what's going on. So it's important to look in this folder so you can really see everything that's a part of an assignment. And so when you're seeing that, what you'll notice is that our number 4 assignment is up here, and that there are 1, 2, 3 things that you're going to need to complete that assignment because they're directly underneath it. So let's go ahead and open up that assignment, and it's going to look like this. The majority of what we are doing here is going to look the same. So again, you guys have done an amazing job so far of really responding to quotes. You'll notice that our number 2 portion of this today has changed. I really want to encourage you as you're doing your reflection. It needs to be multiple sentences. You really want to describe, give examples, tell us what it means to you, really dig into that portion. For your task number 2, that's still your 15 minutes of writing. And guys, you'll start noticing that we are being a little bit more particular about that 15 minutes of writing. I have created an actual space below to try and help us not forget to do this. I've linked my own writer's notebook here for you, so those are some differences. I'm also trying to give you different ideas of what you could write about. I know that you guys are at home and that, maybe not a lot in your world is changing, or you don't feel like there's a lot to write about. And so I'm trying to give you prompts and things that are going to really help you. So you'll either link your Google Doc where you're doing your writing here, or you can actually complete your daily writing in that space. Your reading is the same as it's been. Your journaling, really pay attention to these different annotations that we're asking for here, and make sure you complete every part of your reading log. You'll notice that the summary section has shifted to a discussion. And so for that, again, when you go back here in your Reader's Writer's Notebook, those discussions are all going to be happening in your dystopian book clubs. Okay, so it's really a good idea when you're completing this to actually pop your document out of Schoology and work on it here, so that then you can go back and find the things that you need. In the study section today, again, you'll notice we continue to try and give you times for how long things will take. If you're really focused and you're doing the things that you need to be doing, it really should not take you more than about 20 to 30 minutes to complete this particular portion of the assignment. I really encourage you to set a timer and be focused as you work. So for this portion here, we're asking you to complete the Art of the Argument Cornell Notes. I have linked those Cornell Notes here just for your ease, but you can also go back to our ELA Reading Daily Assignments, and you'll notice that the Art of the Argument Cornell Notes is here. This is a separate assignment. So today you'll actually receive 3 different grades. one for your Reader's Writer's Notebook assignment, one for the Art of the Argument Cornell notes, and one for that discussion post that you're completing as a portion of your journaling for your reading log, okay? So when you are going to complete this Art of the Argument Cornell notes, you can either click here to find your link, or you can click into this assignment. The link is the same. And you'll notice that it says that you're going to use 2 different level up tutorials, okay? So you're going to use the level up tutorial Elements of an Argument first. We've done plenty of these level up tutorials before. It's right here. You'll make sure that you're really interacting with things, making sure that you do the examples and really learn from it. That includes those few questions at the very end of the tutorial. Make sure you do that. And then on the same set of Cornell notes, you're also going to go back and you're going to use this second level up tutorial called Analyzing Arguments. Now you'll notice in here, I talked about reading, interacting, and completing all of the tutorial while completing your notes. A pro tip here would be to split screen. So if I'm going to open up my notes, what I'm going to do is open those, and I'm going to open up my Elements of an Argument tutorial, and I'm going to split screen. Remember, there's 2 ways to do this. I can click my Windows key and an arrow, or I can click here at the top and drag over, and it'll split screen for me like that. Remember, we've also talked about if we put our screen at around 80% or our document around 80%, then you'll be able to see it. One of the things that you'll notice for this particular assignment is that I've already done your objective, your essential questions, the 2 resources that we're using. You'll just add the date up here. And then I even went through and did some terms and questions for you where you're just going to work through this tutorial and complete the notes and the images and examples. Remember, those examples should come directly from the level up tutorial. Okay. So for this first tutorial, Elements of an Argument, that should take you almost all the way through the notes. Okay, it's only down here at the bottom. It's either starts here or it starts here. I can't remember exactly which at this point. But for one of those 2, you're going to either go back to the folder or you can simply click Next. And there's that level up tutorial for Analyzing Arguments. And this place is where you actually find your information for these last couple of things. Okay? Again, when you're finished with your notes, you're going to go to our daily assignments folder and you are going to submit your notes. So you need to make sure that you are either submitting through resources here or you're submitting a live shared Google Doc here, and make sure that you turn that in. Then you'll go back to your Reader's Writer's Notebook. Again, I've got a little screenshot here to help you know what to do. And you're going to type done in this box to show me that you actually submitted everything that you were supposed to. Then you're going to head into this create section. And what I'm going to ask you to do is we need you to start constructing arguments. And so that's what the level up tutorial was all about. And the essential question that you're focusing on today is, why does the desire to protect often lead to strict rules and denial of basic human rights? So when you think about this question, what it's really talking about is that everybody who's in a position of authority of some sort, whether that's a parent or a guardian, if it's a teacher, if it's an administrator, if it's a governor, if it's the president, whatever it is, there's often a desire to protect people, to keep them from harm, to make sure that they're not experiencing negative things. And so in order to do that, because humans in general are so hard to predict, because there's only certain ways that we can keep people, quote unquote, under control, it's sometimes the choice of somebody who's in charge to impose strict rules. So if you think about what we're currently experiencing with the coronavirus, because they are trying to protect us, there are now strict rules about whether or not we can, go to a restaurant, about whether or not we can go to school, about whether or not We should be out of the house or interacting with other people or in groups larger than 10. So that's a really good example. But when you think about that in connection with human rights, typically you would think of a human right as something that every person should have as a part of who they are because they are a human and should be an equal. And so human rights would be things like the right to free speech. Human rights might be things like the right to food and water and shelter. A human right might be the ability to choose whether or not to go out to a restaurant or to be in a group of more than 10. And so what this question is really asking here is, why is it when people are trying to protect us, does that lead to strict rules and sometimes a denial of basic human rights? If you think about your dystopian novel, oftentimes in your dystopian novel, there is something that is being put in place in order to really help protect people. So that is true of most of them, although there's always in a dystopian novel going to be a denial of human rights, a denial of the ability to think freely, a denial of the ability to choose your job, a denial of the ability to decide whether you live or die, a denial of pick a thing, okay? So what you're doing is you're focusing on this question, and then you're going to draft your own claim. Now, it's going to be really important as you're doing this that you're really thinking through those Art of the Argument Cornell notes that you just took. You're going to draft one really powerful opinion or sentence that states your opinion. Okay? You're definitely not locked into this. We'll talk about this question more later. This is just your initial idea. This is your initial opinion. What you want to do is you want to stay away from things like I think or I feel and just make a statement. Then what you're going to do is you're going to find evidence that's going to directly support whatever claim that you just made. Okay? So you need to select 2 to 3 pieces of evidence to support your claim. Because we want these to be specifically tied to your dystopian novels in some way, at least 2 of the pieces of evidence need to come from there. But because of everything we're reading and learning about and experiencing with COVID-19, you can also collect evidence there. Remember, evidence is something that we shouldn't be able to argue with. It should be a fact, a statistic, something that is not your opinion. And in fact, it really shouldn't be in your own words. It should be a direct quote from something that you've read, learned. Then you're going to write in your own words why each of these pieces of evidence up here supports your claim. So whatever the first piece of evidence is that I put here, my reasoning that I'm going to write down here should directly correspond to that. Okay? Again, what your reasoning is your interpretation of what it is that you're doing. It's your words. It's why this piece of evidence that you've included actually ties to or proves your claim. When you're done with that, you're almost finished. You're at this last portion, which is going to ask you to share. And so what you're going to be doing is you are going to share your argumentative response to that essential question. Why does the desire to protect often lead to strict rules and denial of basic human rights? But instead of leaving them in these separate boxes like we did up here, we have provided a paragraph stem, or series of sentence stems for you, where you should be able to plug in the things that you are talking about and construct an argumentative paragraph. Again, at this point, you are not rewriting something brand new. You are taking what you wrote up here and turning it into a paragraph that you're posting to that essential question. And again, remember that essential question is going to be in the same place as your response in that Dystopian Book Club folder as your response to your journaling earlier. Then you're going to respond to 2 or 3 of your peers. You're going to make sure that you're not cruel or mean or unkind in any way. And again, we've given you some sentence stems to use to respond. One more time, please remember that there are actually 3 different assignments that are coming out of today. The first is your Reader's Writer's Notebook assignment, which is this assignment in general. Make sure you click submit when you're done. The second is a combination of this discussion here and your discussion that you're completing at the bottom. And then your final one is that task 5, those Cornell notes. Make sure that you get those submitted. Great job, guys, as always. Let us know if you have any questions.